Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J Maher with another episode of the Daily Dose. Are you kidding me? I will tell you, how would you like to learn from my coach? What? Maher has a coach? Yeah, I actually have several coaches, but today I'm going to disclose the secret to my success. Oh my gosh, cray. I will tell you, here's the thing. Like, you want to know the secrets of my training company? I'm going to disclose those today. One of those is this guy. And before I bring him on, here's the other thing is, many of you know that I wrote The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents with Hal Elrod. Well, many of you know Hal Elrod sold over 1 million books. Did you know that this guy also coaches Hal Elrod and coached him? And in a session in Las Vegas at this guy's house, Hal Elrod and this guy came up with the idea to leverage and go vertical with the Miracle Morning. And the Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents was the first one out of the chute. And the reason that happened, ladies and gentlemen, is because this guy connected me and Hal. Boom. Are you kidding me? We're talking about the old days was ego era and always be closing. Today is the generosity generation, and there's a new ABC in town. The new ABC is always be connecting. Always be connecting. And this guy is a connector. This guy is, I'm going to start your watch party right now. If you haven't started your watch party, what are you waiting on? Go down, hit share, do start watch party. Share this on your personal page. Anybody from 11 to 100, this guy doesn't cuss. 11 to 111 can watch this and love it. And it's going to be awesome. So now start your watch party because this is going to be good. After growing up in a small Pennsylvania steel mill town near Pittsburgh, is this the Rudy story? What? Oh, as the son of a steel worker and a housewife, James Malinchak is now recognized as one of the most requested in-demand business and motivational keynote speakers and marketing consultants in the world, and speaks for groups ranging from 20 to over 20,000. James was featured on the hit ABC TV show, Secret Millionaire, which was about being generous and helping people and acting like you were really kind of like destitute and out of it, and people were helping you. And James was one of those that helped on the Secret Millionaire. He was the Secret Millionaire. He has authored 21 books and has delivered over 3,000 presentations for corporations, associations, business groups, colleges, universities, and youth organizations worldwide. Giving back is a big part of James' life, as he has raised over $1 million for various charities and organizations and has donated thousands of dollars of his own money to help others. James is a best-selling author of many books and is behind-the-scenes go-to marketing advisor for many top celebrities, top authors, speakers, thought leaders, professional athletes, and sports coaches. And I will tell you, this guy is the secret to success for a lot of people that are very well known. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity, Mr. James Malinchak. Welcome, brother.
Hey, brother. How are you, man? Always good to be with one of my favorite people on the planet, Mr. Maher.
I appreciate that.
I'm great.
Man.
I'm great to be here.
And
no, I mean it. I mean it, man. I love what you do. You are a true server, a true giver, and a true world changer and difference maker. So it's just an honor to know you and a blessing to know you. Thanks for having me on with all of your amazing people.
Well, thank you. And right back at you, brother. I'll tell you. So you got to tell us the Secret Millionaire story. Like, how did you get that opportunity, and how did you like make that happen? And it's one of those where this is we're in an opportunistic time. Like right now during the COVID, people are looking for the danger, they're looking for the crisis, but really there's a lot of opportunity in this as well. And I think that's a great story to just start with. You are the Secret Millionaire. I didn't watch any other episode except for yours. You're like the Secret Millionaire to me.
You're too kind, buddy. I appreciate it. No, it was a true blessing to be on the show. I didn't audition in a football stadium with 200,000 people. I didn't pursue them. Somebody who knew me and knew one of the producers with ABC, a mutual friend who to this day I don't know who they are, or I would properly thank them. They referred me to them. I guess they knew that they were doing a show. And they said, hey, you ought to talk to my friend James Malinchak. And they're like, well, who is that guy? I said, well, he's no famous guy or anything like that, but he's behind the scenes of a lot of big people that you know, and like he really has a different way of thinking. So they reached out to me, and I didn't respond for like 2 or 3 weeks because I thought it was some fake thing. Like, I mean, who wants to put me on TV, right? I'm not a TV dude. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a hardworking person. I'm not an actor, if you will, or a TV person. And so I declined, and they couldn't believe that I was declining. So long story short, they ended up flying to Las Vegas, coming to my house, and when they told me what the essence of the show was, I was like, oh man, this is way bigger than a TV show. And I truly believed at that time, and even more so today, that America and the world had their hope tank. Everybody listen to this, their hope tank on E. And I thought, man, by doing this show that we could help put some fuel and some hope back into people's tanks and get them, going in a positive direction. So that's really why, once I realized they weren't going to harm anybody and it was going to be a really good show that uplifted people and recognized angels and heroes in this country, I said, man, we can put the hope back into people's hope tanks. And so that's really why I did it.
I love that. And that really was kind of the precursor to today's Undercover Boss, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that came out after Secret Millionaire. So, and the whole premise of the show, for those who don't know, is I lived undercover in impoverished areas. Nobody knew who I was. And I was just a volunteer looking, though, and searching for amazing people who were doing great work in this world. And at the end of my time there, as I'm about to kind of leave town, I go visit each one and say, hey, there's something I haven't told you. And then there's this dramatic pause, like they're like, uh-oh, what does this mean? And then I tell them my identity, and I open up my checkbook and I start writing them checks so they can further their purpose, further their mission, hence the Secret Millionaire. So that's what it was about.
And tears are shed and are given. And these are people, and you're writing $10,000 checks, $20,000 checks, these huge checks.
I did over $100,000 total, over $100,000.
I love it. I love it. And I will tell you that is, it's just such a great show. And unfortunately in the world, it seems like the good news shows are the ones that sometimes don't last or get down the road. But man, I was so glad that you did that, and so glad that you had the opportunity to help that community. And what I'm most glad about, other than the helping of those individuals, is that James Malinchak got featured on something. He got featured on TV. You are so behind the scenes, and I could see you saying no, not as a technique, not as a strategy, not as a tease, right? But literally saying no. It's like, you know what, my job, I'm not a TV personality, it's my job to kind of make TV personalities. And I just love that you finally got in the limelight and got a chance to kick some butt with that. And like I said, I truly believe everybody, it's still out there. His episode is still out there. I highly recommend everyone here watching that episode of Secret Millionaire and watching James at work. You did a great job of acting in the beginning. And I guess it helps to come from rags. Rags the richest story that you have, but it probably helped you to come from rags because you didn't have to act anything. You just remembered.
Yeah. I mean, I just, something that was really important for me was to showcase, where I grew up in a tiny steel mill town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think we have about 6,000 so folks that live in the town. And also, something I was really adamant about is, Michael, that I lost a sister, Vicky, to a brain tumor several years ago. And I said to the producers, I said, look, this is your show and you do whatever you like, obviously, but if you could do me one tiny little favor, if you could actually focus a part of my bio on my sister, because I truly believe one of the reasons I speak, and God bless me to speak into the hearts of other folks, is because my inspiration was my sister who passed away. And I always tell a story of her passing away in my talks. And so it's kind of my little way to help her live on and allow her message to speak through me to touch the hearts, the minds, and souls of others. So I pretty much pleaded with the producers, I know you guys have a structure of what you do, and this is a business, the show, but if you could somehow center my bio around my sister, I would be most grateful. And they did. And, that was just so great for me to make sure that, I hung true to making sure our town looked great where I grew up. And then also my sister was speaking through the show to help people.
Wow, that's unbelievable. That's fantastic.
And Michael, I got to tell you this. I got to tell you this, brother. I just heard this stat not too long ago that now they say 50 plus million people have watched the episode of the show. It's crazy.
50 million people have watched that episode?
Around the world. Yeah.
Oh
crazy.
My gosh.
Crazy.
That's amazing. Well, I will tell you now, you can't tell me this or maybe you can, but because you're not a braggadocio type of person, but it's like, was it the most watched episode of The Secret Millionaire? Do you know?
I believe it was because, as you know, we did a lot of promotion and marketing to drive ratings. I mean, you were, prevalent to some of the things that we were doing behind the scenes. Because my whole thing, and it comes back to exactly what you believe and you promote so well, right? I thrive on the old Zig Ziglar quote: "You get anything you want out of life, you just simply help enough people get what they want," right? You serve people, you help people, and you think about, what can I do to help them? So I went to ABC and I asked the people at ABC, the PR people, the head of PR, I said, "Hey, how would you like to have 10 million plus emails going out to promote the show? Would that help you and drive the ratings of the show?" And they were like, what do you mean? And I started to explain our world of online marketing and relationships, what you talk about. I've got great relationships with folks who control email lists, and we can really spread this message if you'll give me some leeway and let me do certain things. So it's a long-winded answer to say, I think it was probably watched more and watched now even more by more people than any other episode, because of all the stuff we did behind the scenes to help spread the word of, these are heroes that need to be recognized.
Yeah, love that. Two things on that is number one is I'd like to recognize the heroes on the front lines right now, and those that are nurses and doctors. Could somebody explain this to me the other day, and it just hit home? It's just like, can you imagine getting up in the morning and knowing you're going to the hospital that is used to treat a deadly virus, and you're in charge of helping those people? I mean, forget contagious, you're getting it. I mean, it's like you know that it is life or death, and just knowing that you're going to work on that every day, it's just like that's heroism to me for sure.
Yeah.
And
absolutely,
and, definitely gives me fills my hope tank a little bit, knowing that. And the second thing is I want to truly check on this, because we didn't get a chance to do a lot of how's mom? How is your mom?
I appreciate it. Yeah, my mom, when all this was breaking, was rushed to the hospital, not with corona, thank God, but it was a very bad respiratory infection. And as you know, anyone elderly that gets something can be a really rough path. And it was, because there was no antibiotic for it. So it just sort of had to run its course. And with mom being in her 80s, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to run its course. And that's usually not a good thing for elderly folks. And so thank God she pulled through. She's still pulling through it, but we didn't know there for a while. It was really rough. And then all of a sudden this whole COVID thing broke, and we were now banned from the hospital and couldn't go see her while she's going through all this. So it was a tough time, but man, faith moves mountains, and appreciate all the great friends on Facebook and all throughout the world that sent prayers. So
that's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that she's on the backside of that and feeling better. So you have the opportunity. You've worked with not just 10 and not just hundreds, but thousands of a lot of people that people would know, Jack Canfield, J. Victor Hansen, Michael Jordan, like a lot of these names that you've been in the room with and you have coached and taught. What is the difference between those high achievers and the average producers out there who live, not just a bad life, just they live an average life? What is the difference? What is the delta of a super producer, do you think?
Oh yeah. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be behind the scenes with a whole bunch of folks. And it's actually become a passion of mine. I didn't plan on it. I just love talking to people. Like when I talk with you and like, Michael, how have you achieved success and what's your key? I just love learning that stuff, right? I'm a sponge. I have a friend who taught me a lesson a long time ago, Kevin Eastman. He used to coach the Clippers with Doc Rivers. And he was
with the Celtics at one time too, right?
Yeah. He was with the Celtics when they won the world championship. And Kevin's spoken at a lot of my masterminds and just a great guy. And he said, don't go through life being a know-it-all, go through life being a learn-it-all. Mm-hmm. And so that's just how I am when I'm blessed to be around these folks. And so, Michael, I've taken all this. I was like this big old sponge that took in all this stuff. And I said, now, how do I distill this down and share with other people? I've really narrowed it down to 3 things. I'm actually writing a book right now, all on achievement based around these 3 things. Okay, because this is what I found. The great book, Think and Grow Rich, 13 Common Characteristics of Successful Wealthy People. That's not what I found in my new updated, research. I found there were 3, right? And here are the 3. Ready? Number 1 is mindset. And I'm not talking about pie in the sky, wishful, sit on a couch in a lotus position thinking, going, I hope the window opens up and customers walk in, right? I'm talking about thinking differently on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, okay? Shifting the way you think about everything. High achievers, top achievers, superstars, they think on a whole different level, but that's not enough. That's just one part of the triangle. The second part is skill set. You can have the best mindset in the world, but you've got to get some skills, right? So let's take like real estate. I know you're big in the real estate industry, right? I can have the greatest mindset, but I have to go out and get skills. I got to get listing skills. I got to get, influence skills. I got to get, persuasion skills, if you will. Those are real practical skills I have to learn and develop and use, right? But that's not enough. It's mindset. It's skill set. And then number 3, it's get off your assets and get moving. The thing I found, and you're this way, you're the epitome of this, is you got to get it moving right away. And, airplanes don't take off when everything's perfect. They do check, but they're always adjusting course, right? Course correction. And the most successful top achievers that I have found consistently, they're constantly putting the throttle down. They're constantly putting things in motion, getting in action, right? They're not just wishful thinking and that I hope I'm given everything. No, it's mindset. Then they're getting their skills, right? And then they're going out and they're taking action. Mindset, skill set, get off your assets.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That, in a world of a big reset, it's great that you used mindset, skill set, and asset. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And Michael, can I chime in and say one other thing? We're all about like obstacles and overcoming challenges, right? And here's what the top achievers I have found. The obstacles don't even matter to them. The setbacks don't even matter to them. They know where they're going. And here's the key, ready? That the setbacks, the resistance, the obstacles, we're going through an obstacle right now as a world, right? That's just a part of life. Of course, the obstacle, the adversity is going to happen, but they don't even think about it. It's like, okay, how do we go over it, under it, and around it? We're not going to allow the adversity to paralyze us and stop us, because we know where we're going.
Right. Wow, that's so true. It's just like, it's when the why is big enough, the how will appear, and it's like, and it doesn't say when the why is big enough, the not how will appear. Right. You don't look at the not how, you look at the how. All you're seeing is, how do we make this work? How do we make this happen? And the not how is a part of the scotoma. It really, we talked about blind spots. I tell you, James, this week, I think people are going to look back at this week of the Daily Dose and it's going to be the 5 set that may be the most. And this doesn't take away anything from any other week, but it's just like we tried to sequence these so that they make the most sense. So on Monday we were big on mindset, right? The guy came on, talked a lot about mindset. Day 2, we had Sean Callaghy from Tony Robbins, and Sean is legally blind, and yet runs a law firm of over 100. He's got this integrity-based human influence system that's off the charts. But he talked about mindset, but he didn't stop there. He went to like skill set, if you will, and then he went to talking about public speaking. He talked about the 3 books and kind of what he got from them. And one of those books was Money Making Secrets by Jay Abraham. And he talked about skill set. It's really about productivity. And then he talked about How to Make a Fortune Public Speaking was his 3rd book, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's like, all right, that's kind of get off your asset. That's kind of your front and center, your influence, that kind of thing. Well, yesterday we had an agent who runs 2 50,000 person Facebook groups in Gilbert, Arizona. So she has taken it. One of the things that we told people in a daily dose is create your Facebook group now, right now. In fact, we took our own advice and started this group. But it's like, and then now we have you today, right? And you're literally building on the first 3 perfectly. Like, why does Ann Schutte have 50,000 in 2 different groups? You know what? Because she didn't look at the not how, she looked at the how. There were several other people in the area who had Facebook groups. A lot of people, it's already been done. Somebody else. No, they went to work. They had a why big enough that the how followed. So it's just like, I love the consistency and the how this is just kind of building on itself this week. And you're in this Thursday slot, which is just perfect because your knowledge and wisdom is so big, right? And just so you've seen more than most, like the top one half of 1% in the world. So I love it, and I can't wait to hear about your book.
And I chime on, and also I'm doing, ironically, you mentioned the gentleman with the public speaking. I've taught Big Money Speaker, my website, bigmoneyspeaker.com. I've taught people how to make big money. That's kind of how I've been the behind the scenes guy for a lot of celebs, if you will, and thought leaders. And, when I started doing that, people thought I was crazy. Like, there's all these other speaking things out there, and like, well, how are you going to do it? I said, because I'm going to, have a different mindset. I'm going to get a different skill set. I have different skill sets on what I teach and how to become a big money speaker. And I'm going to take action. I'm going to start blasting this right now. And I started my first event with 12 people, in a basement at a hotel in Vegas, in a basement of a hotel. Sounds like a movie, right?
Right.
I mean, you've been to some of my events. We've had 500, 600, 700 people. At
more
events.
than that. There was like 900 plus I've been to 3. And just, I mean, I'll let you finish that thought, but I'm going to give a great testimonial here in 5 minutes on my experience with you. So,
no, you don't worry about the how, like you mentioned earlier, right? If you worry about the how, you will talk yourself out of it. I didn't know how I was going to do that. I didn't know how I was going to get in with some of these folks. But I just, I believed in my core what I was doing. I knew it would help people. I knew I had a skill set of how to teach people literally how to make money fast with the speaking and where the budgets were and how to get booked, et cetera, how to make offers from the stage that would make people feel really good. They weren't, going to feel sleazy or anything like that, really serve them, uplift them, but then, do hundreds of thousands of dollars in back of the room. I knew I could teach that, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. So here's the next top achiever idea, if you will, is you don't worry about the how. You don't know how you're going to do some of the things that you're going to do next week, next month, 6 months from now, a year from now. But if you focus on the how, you will talk yourself out of it. So also piggybacking on something you said, Michael, focus on the why. Why do you want to do it? See, when you create a why for yourself, what I call a strong red hot why, you create a purpose within yourself. And when you create that purpose, it ignites your passion. And when it ignites your passion, it cruises you into what I call the power. See, it's purpose, passion, and power. And it all starts with asking yourself, why do you want to do it? Now, you have to crawl, then you will walk, then you will run. It's purpose, passion, and power. And it starts by getting what I call a strong, red hot why. And here's the thing. Last thing I'll say about your why, there is no right or wrong why for you. There's only a strong or weak why for you. That's why I say you have to get a strong, not just a why, you got to get a strong, red hot why. That why could be a one sentence answer for yourself. It could be a paragraph. It could be a picture that you, when I wanted to become a top speaker, when I was broke, making $7 an hour working in a video store, I took a picture of Zig Ziglar, the great Zig Ziglar, on stage in front of 20,000 people. And I took a picture of myself with a Polaroid camera. This is how long ago this was, right? Polaroid camera. And I cut my head off and I pasted it on Zig Ziglar's body on that stage of 20,000 people. And I made copies at the video store, and I stuck a copy on the dashboard of my car. I stuck a copy on my bathroom mirror, so I saw it every morning when I woke up and every night before I went to sleep, so I started embedding it in my subconscious mind. I stuck it on my refrigerator, so every time I opened that door, I had to see it. Yeah, I may be here making $7 an hour working in a video store, but these pictures, that's where I'm going. And I had no clue how to do it. But I did know something. I had a strong red hot why, and I'm going to do it, and I'll figure it out. When you commit to your why, it's crazy how the how starts to show up. Somebody walks into your life and opens a door for you. Or all of a sudden you're driving and boom, some idea pops in your head. You must commit to your strong red hot why.
So good. So good. It's one of those where, James, last Friday, Sherry and Jen Scarpero, our certified mornings coach, they taught vision boards Friday. Yeah. And so, you talking about that, just reinforces the power of a vision board. I have a vision board on my phone, literally. And we were talking about where to put it. And what's funny is I learned from you where to put it. I literally went into that. Here are some suggestions about where to put it. Put it in your car, put it in your master bedroom, put it in your refrigerator, put it in your kitchen, wherever, somewhere in there, put it on your computer, put it on your phone. And those are basically the places that you go to every day and you live in and that kind of thing. That whole idea came from you. That whole idea of where you see it, what do you see? And the vision board, it reminds me of John Ozeroff's story too, where Stacey Alcorn was on earlier, and we talked about, John Ozeroff was in the Secret. He talked about it. He talked about his vision board. He put a home, just a home that he liked on his vision board. And then 7 years later, he found out he was living in it. And guess what? I met John Ozeroff through this guy. I remember that when we went to his house. Yeah. San Diego. Yeah. And I bought 2 seats and I took Stacy, and I will tell you that Stacy continues to talk to that from this day. But here's what's interesting. Stacy had John Ozeroff on her vision board, Malinchak.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
She's doing 500 interviews. She made a list of 500 people like Napoleon Hill. And so she's only got 100 left, just so you know, but she's doing 500 interviews. One of the interviews she wanted to do was John Ozeroff. And so it was just, and I didn't know that. I just invited her because we are like-minded and doing things together. And she's hired me to speak a bunch. And, it was one of those where it was just like everything, everything happens for a reason kind of deal.
Well, you know this, Michael, right? Your reticular activating system in the subconscious, once it gets triggered, right, it gets programmed with what you want to do and you're committed. See, it doesn't get programmed until you truly commit yourself with that red hot why. And once you kind of put the stamp of approval, say, yeah, I really want this, right? It's like automatic, radar waves get sent out, right? And all of a sudden, magically, I don't know how this works, but magically, if you will, right? Michael Maher calls Stephanie and says, hey, I'm going to John's house. Would you like to come? And she's like, oh my God, this is weird. No, it's not weird. That's the way that the frequencies from our mind, just like a radio sends out frequency wavelengths, so does our mind, but not until you commit to it with a strong red hot why. By the way, I'm going to put something out right now, Michael. You said Stacy's got 100 left to do. I'm going to say she's got 101 left to do because she needs to add me on.
You might already be on the list, brother. All right, I'm writing that down right now. Right now. So she recently went to Sir Richard Branson's island.
Nice.
And interviewed him like he was in shorts, no shirt, at like up against a bar. Like and that was her interview, and she interviewed, she went back, typed it up real quick, and
awesome.
So anyway,
that is awesome.
I will tell you that I'm connecting the two of you. I just want
Let's do it. Let's do it. I would love to do it.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
And then so it's one of those where why don't you talk about how, like, okay, so here's another connection that I made. It's just like I just need to like send you monthly paychecks. I just need to send, I mean, it's like Jack Canfield, right? I mean, like, so Jack Canfield, I met him through you, and even had a chance to do an interview with him, and we actually did it on Referrals podcast. It was a fantastic interview, and I'll tell you what, talk about two guys hitting it off. We're both former teachers. It's just like there were so many similarities, and like we lived this parallel universe together until you connected us, until you made it happen for us to connect and that kind of thing. I mean, how did you connect with Jack Canfield?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're going to love this, brother. I don't know if I've ever told you this story before.
Yeah, I don't know the story. I know I don't.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I mean, you're going to stand up and dance or something after this one, because this is speaking everything that you're talking about, right? And everything you're so great at teaching, you're great people. I'm broke in a video store working, and I wrote this little book for college students called From College to the Real World. It was all about like making a successful transition and being successful. Don't worry about, if you didn't make the great grades, you can still land your dream job and be a success in life. Kind of one of those, right? It was for people like me who was a C student, right? And by the way, you know what a C student is, right? See your way through school. That was me in college. So I wrote it for people like me. I didn't know how to write a book. It took me like 2.5 years. I mean, I sat there with a typewriter like this,
Yeah.
It was before computers. But then, so I get this book, like manuscript thing. I don't know what to do with it. Like, all I got is this Word document on a computer. And I thought to myself, I said, man, what would be really amazing is like if I somehow could get this out there and it would help people. So I was going through the situation with my sister Vicky passing away. I was down in a bad funk and just, why me? Why my family? Why her? I was mad at everybody, mad at God, like my sister's the sweetest person, just in a really dark place. And mysteriously, right, I turned the television on one day, and it's a Sunday, and what pops up on the screen? The Hour of Power TV show with Dr. Robert Schuller at the Crystal Cathedral. And he literally, when the TV turns on, that channel's on, and he's interviewing a guy I've never heard of before named Mark Victor Hansen, who's talking about this book thing he did with his partner Jack Canfield, and it's called Chicken Soul Soup something. I'm like, well, I don't know what this is, right?
Yeah.
But I just remember like seeing it, and like Mark was talking about how they were rejected 144 times. People laughed at him. He was telling inspirational stories from the book. This is in the very beginning, before Chicken Soup really was big. And I remember just like sort of sitting down in my chair like this and just staring and listening to these stories of not giving up and not quitting and going on. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I was like inspired, and I got in my car in Glendale, California, drove over to Old Town Pasadena, went to the Barnes & Noble bookstore on Colorado Avenue, walked in and said, "You have some kind of book called Soup's Chicken Something Soul?" And they're like, "Oh, Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's like the #1 book right now." I'm like, "Okay, can I get it?" And so I got the book. I read it 3 times cover to cover, was so inspired. I said, "I'm going to meet these guys." Now, Michael, I'm making $7 an hour working in a video store. And so, but I said, that's it. I'm going to meet these guys. They're going to endorse my book. We're going to help a lot of people. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to do it, but I committed, man. I was like, I want to meet these guys because these guys picked me up when I was in a dark place. That was my why. And I got to meet these guys, right? Crazy. About 3 months later, mysteriously in the mail, I get a flyer promoting something. It's called the Book Publicists of Southern California, and they are going to be running a meeting in Burbank, California, and they're going to honor Jack Canfield, co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I was like, what?
This is literally in your city.
Right next, in the mail, out of the blue. I don't know how they got my address. I don't know. I never signed up for anything. I didn't even know what the Book Publicist of Southern California was. But I got this mailing at my apartment. Here's the only problem. The ticket was $95, and I didn't have $95. I didn't have $9, right? But then I don't know why I said this, but I said, this may be my one opportunity. And by the way, anybody listening, sometimes you get one opportunity that comes by, and if you don't grab it while it's coming, you ain't going to grab it while it's going. So you better grab that chance and that opportunity. And so I remember saying, this might be my only chance to meet this guy. Right? I said that was my goal. God provided me an opportunity. I could either grab it or let it go. And so, man, I floated $95 over like 3 different credit cards and moved this money here and wrote the check for, I know how to float money better than anybody. Right? So, but I said, if I'm going to meet this, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this work. So I called up and I said, what time does Mr. Canfield's event start? They said, well, we're going to start the dinner about 7 o'clock. He's going to speak about 8, and then we're going to give him the award. I said, what time do the doors open? And they said, the doors open about 6. I got there at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was there before the ticket people were there. So when they came, I was first one, I got my ticket, I walked inside the door, and I stood right on the inside of the door and didn't move for over 2 hours because I said, this guy has got to walk in this door at some point, right? And I also asked the people when I called them on the phone, I said, is he going to be at like a head table or is he sitting at like round table? No, it's a small room. He's just going to be sitting at a round table. So I stood there for almost 2.5 hours. He comes walking in with Patty Aubrey, who you know is Jack's president, and they come walking, and I walked right behind them. They sat down at the table, and I said, excuse me, Mr. Canfield, would you mind if I sat next to you? He said, no. Not at all. And because I figured he's going to talk to somebody for the next 3 hours. And this is something I want everybody to catch, right? You got to learn to adopt this. This will open more doors for you, have more success come to you than almost anything else. You know what I said, Michael? He's going to talk to somebody for 3 hours. Might as well be me.
Might as well be you. That's
right.
I
want to meet Michael Jordan. Wow, I'm just a little Steel Mill Town kid. He's going to meet somebody. Might as well be me, right? So I always say, might as well be me, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so I sat there, talked to him for 3 hours, got his address and phone number, and sent him thank you cards, found out when his birthday was, mailed him birthday cards, and I just stayed in touch with him for a couple of years. And here we are all this time later. And I got to tell you, this is so crazy, but in 2 weeks, Jack is actually coming on an interview for my coaching members. Like literally, we're talking about Jack Canfield, and like I just texted Jack the other day about coming on for an interview. So how ironic, but that's how I met him.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that's how I met you. Just so you know. So I am speaking in California. I this was probably 7-8 years ago, and I'm on the road every week. So I literally spoke back-to-back days in San Diego to 2 different groups. We tried to stack trips as much as we could, and so I spoke for all day on Wednesday, all day Thursday, and I get a text from my wife. She says, you're not flying from California to Kansas City. You're meeting me in Vegas. Now, I am beyond thrilled, James Mount. I don't know how long you've been married, but I've been married a long time. And when your wife says we're meeting in Las Vegas, like you're really happy. And I wasn't speaking. So she's like, man, you've done really good this year. And I want you to take a little break from, but you're meeting me in Vegas. So it's like Sherry's flying from Vegas, which is a big deal. She doesn't fly alone a lot anyway. And she's flying from Kansas City and I'm flying from California. So I get there, it's 11:30, midnight, something like that. It's pretty late. And you got to realize I'm Central Time, so it's even later.
Yeah.
So I get there and it's just like, oh man, I'm so relaxed. I'm just like, I went right to bed. I'm like so relaxed. I'm sleeping. And it's just like, I just knew the next day, like I could sleep in, I could relax. I had nothing to do. It was just like that. I get up pretty early anyway. So I was up probably 5:30, 5:50, something like that. I'm just like in my pajamas, drinking a cup of coffee, just like, and she goes, come on, we got to go. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, come on. I signed us up for something. And I was like, what the freak? What? Like, I thought we were in Vegas to have fun. She's like, no. We got to be there at 7 because it opens at 8. I'm like, it's 6. Like, what? So I shower again. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so we're taking a cab over to the event. And she's like, all right, so here's what I did is I signed you up for this thing and Jack Canfield likes this guy. So I got this thing from Jack Canfield that said that this guy is doing, and it's like, what's his name? And she was like, James Monkey Wrench. And it was like, okay. I'm like, what the crap are we doing? It's like, I'm like, this is the most asinine thing I'd ever done in my life. But she's like, but Jack Canfield said to do it. So it's like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, I paid the ticket, paid for both of us. Like, we're going. So now I have to tell you, I was not like, I'm really good at mood. Like I can be in a good mood. Like I was not in a good mood. Like, here's what's really funny is I was walking down the hall to go wait at the freaking door. I had to wait outside. I couldn't even go in and sit. So I went and waited outside with Sherry. But on my way to going, I bumped into this super tall, good looking guy. And I was like, whatever, it's like, what are you doing? And walked and I'm standing there and it's like, Jane Malinchak, who is this? Like, I'm looking at the posters you have outside the room. I will tell you, that was genius on your part because you went from some guy I didn't know to credible just from me seeing those testimonials and those pictures outside the door. And just so you know, we have done a similar thing with Dave Ramsey and Gary Keller and others. And, but I'm standing there just like, I'm like so mad at my wife. Like, come on, like, wasn't today like, our day, And so then I see these bozos with red carpet, red stanchions, and they're getting to go in early. And I'm not getting in early. I'm like, what the freak is that? Who are they? They open the doors. By the way, we were one of the first 10 people there, but there were like 200 in about 30 minutes. So, you're like at the front, you're like moving around, making sure you're at the front when that door opens. And so the doors open and I see a couple of guys start like stepping a little faster. I was like, I'm not going to get beat today. Right. So I'm stepping it. Before I know it, I'm running to I get the front table and I always like front. I like the front left, right table. Yeah. I love that because it's just like I cross my legs with my right leg over. It's like, oh no, there's some VIP there. Can't sit there. So I have to set 4 seats in and Sherry got the seat next to me. And then I sat enthralled for several hours and literally beating myself up across the head as to what the heck was going on here. Like I sat at the feet of a wise guy. And I will tell you, at that time, I had spoken to probably 5,000 or 6,000 people, and I had sold above and beyond books. I had sold 0 I had a recording. We had an event and we tried to sell the recording of the event like Howard Brenton for $75. I had 0 sales. And interestingly enough, the first thing that James said, well, raise the price. If you're not selling them, raise the price. Now think about that advice. Like, what? Yeah, we raise the price, we sell some. Like, what? He goes, yeah, raise the price. And we sold some. But here's what's funny. Raise the price and then give it as a bonus. Okay. Raise the price, gave it as a bonus for what we were doing. And everybody's signing up for the thing we're doing. And I think they're signing up to get the bonus. It's just like, what? All right. So we're talking tens of millions of dollars later. Tens of millions. Yeah. Tens of millions of dollars later, because I went to that one conference in Las Vegas, big money speaker. And I saw this guy the whole time. I'm trying to meet him. Might as well be me. I'm trying to meet him. Like, I go up after he speaks, like I'm like walking up there. He walks away. Like, who is this guy? I call Mike Crow. I'm like, who the heck? I call Mike Crow. Mike Crow. Hey, listen, there's this guy. He's on the stage. I just want to shake his hand. I want to meet him. Right. And he's like, so he makes a call to you, I guess.
Yeah. I remember getting the call at my event from Mike Crow.
Yeah. And so he's like, and then he calls me back and goes, you didn't meet him, did you? And I go, no. I go, no, it's just like, he's in the zone, dude. He's in the zone. He's going to stay in the zone. And that's what he does. And you know what? He's got his hierarchy of how he meets people and who he meets. And you got to get into the ecosystem. But it was just one of those where it's like, I literally stood up in front of 700 people at one point and go, Jesus, he said, he was on the stage and he goes, some of you might be making one of these 13 mistakes. One of the mistakes was, some of you might be teaching too much. Oh my, like, whack. It's like, oh my God. James, I will tell you, I mean, it's just what you teach is so needed. And it's been, I don't even know if I could ever thank you enough. It's one of those where I've talked way too much during this interview. It should have been you talking much more, but I have I want to talk about how much I want to appreciate you and thank you. So.
Oh man, it's a blessing. I'm on this mission. This has kind of been my personal mission to impact 1 billion people. And it's like, well, come on, how can you do 1 billion people? Well, it's through the blessing of knowing people like you and Sherry and, Mike Crow and others who are out there. And if I can have just a little piece of impacting you in a way where you go out and are able to do what you love to do in a bigger, better way, that's how I hit 1 billion people. I can't do it by myself. It's through all of the amazing people that you guys are and all the people you are hitting. And so, man, I'm grateful. I'm so glad you came, and I'm so glad you were like a pit bull trying to meet me because we won't be friends today. And then, I came to see you. I remember you took me to meet Tony Robbins.
That's right.
Out at the mortgage event in Vegas that you were speaking at with Tony. And, so we just had a friendship over the year. If it weren't for you, I would have never got to meet Tony.
Yeah, I'm glad I could repay it in some small way. That's for sure. And that's the other thing too, is that ABC, always be connecting, is I'm going to put you and Tony together. And I was like, it may be oil and water, or it may be the love connection of the end of the world. Right. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, but I just knew that both of you were opportunistic. You're going to see the opportunity in each other or you won't. And you're an opportunistic guy. You're going to make it happen. You're going to make the best happen. And you've done that. And it's just one of those where, by the way, Stacey Alcorn is watching right now. So somebody had to have told her that, hey, they talked about you on the Daily Dose today, and Malinchak wants to be interviewed by you. And Stacey, if you don't have him on your list already, this guy is going to be one of your best interviews. This guy is going to be fantastic. So, James, I'll tell you, it's one of those where she just said she's in. She's gonna get in touch with you. So
awesome! I'm honored. Thank you, brother. Look at that. Always be connecting. You just connected us after all these years of you and her going to John's house.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know what? I mean, it's just like I the wheels are already turning. The two of you, that's happening, right? I mean, Stacy is a learner, and she's going to be at your next big money speaker event and learn a ton. And you're going to get interviewed, and she's going to connect you with Layer Realty. It's just like, it's like The Secret, where they put that little thoosh, where they show the little wave coming out of your head. It's like, I see waves coming out of that. So, questions for James. Who has a question for James? We've got time for maybe one question. So make it a good question, people. Make it a good question. What questions do you have for James Malinchak? And this is the guy that, honestly, yeah, he's behind the scenes, and he's kind of an advisor for the stars, so to speak, but he's also a star in his own right. And it's great that he's gone from behind the scenes to star of the show. And couldn't happen to a better guy or a better person, and definitely appreciate that. So we are going to get a question. Absolutely. My pleasure. We are going to get a question from the crowd. I always like to reward them for hanging out with us, and then we'll wrap up. So here's the other thing is like, if people were looking to connect with you, James, they want to find out more about you, they want to find out more about what you do, how do they go about doing that?
Oh, well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Well, obviously, you can reach out to me through Facebook. I'm very active on social media. And also the website is, if you want to find out about anything with helping, if you have a message, story, and how-to advice, and I always joke, but I'm serious about this, and you want to get highly paid, then go to bigmoneyspeaker.com. And you click on the celebrity reviews. You'll see 60 plus people. A lot of them you probably know that I've helped. And we have a free webinar on there you can jump on. It's bigmoneyspeaker.com.
I love that. And I also want to point something out here is he calls it Big Money Speaker because most people are motivated by money, by greed. When people come to, it's genius marketing, just so we all know, it is that it's one of those where we all have a passion. Wouldn't it be great to make money from the passion and make money speaking? Some people have an internal issue, and I used to have this internal issue about, like, I'm speaking to help, and you know what, if I get something, that's not good. But I've become an appreciative receiver, and guess what? It's not just Big Money Speaker. You could call this guy Big Heart Speaker as well, because he has a big heart, and he shows you how to literally welcome and embrace and take people on the journey with you in a way that is very respectful. Yes, you're going to earn an income. And what if I told you that if people paid a little bit of money, they'd be more committed, they'd be better students, they would get more value out of your passion if they paid a little bit of money? And it's like, what? Yes, it's the truth.
Can I speak to that for just 30 seconds?
Yes.
You're going to help more people by making more money. When ABC came to me and said, hey, we want to put you on this show, and by the way, you have to put $100,000 into escrow that's going to be given away on the show, and that means I don't get the money back, by the way. It's not right. I asked them, I said, did anybody previously turn down the show? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, there are two reasons. Number one, they couldn't take time off from their business to do the show. And I'm thinking, well, they didn't have a business, they had a job. Right. And number two, they couldn't afford to write a check or write checks for $100,000 and above. And I'm thinking, you got to be crazy. Like, do you know how much food $100,000 buys for people? Or if a church needs a roof, if that gets taken, or like a school in Africa needs to be built for kids because kids are sitting on rocks. I mean, it takes stroking a check to do that. So I believe this wholeheartedly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you being appropriately compensated for the amazing work you're doing. As long as you're serving people, you're helping people, you're delivering massive value, you deserve to be appropriately compensated, because you could go out and help more people with the more money you make, right? I mean, So people got to get over this money block and this hang up. So, and all I try to do is, let's take Big Money Speaker. There's two sides of speaking. You have your mission, your message, your how-to advice, and how you impact people. And most people think that if they just do that they will actually run a successful business. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's a flip side to the coin called The Business of Speaking. And that's all I try to do, is teach people the flip side of the coin so they could do the first side in a bigger, better way.
I love that. I love that. And so we have two questions for you, James.
Awesome.
Both of them are pretty short. So number one is, so what's the book that you have recommended the most, or your favorite book of all time other than 7L? I have to say that, because everybody's like, they come on the show and they're like, well, 7L, it's like, all right. So I appreciate that. But like, outside of that, what's your favorite book of all time?
Yeah. So first of all, by the way, kudos to you. I went on Amazon today and you have over 800 5-star reviews and ratings for 7L, man. And it's awesome. And I'm so proud of you, and it's just, you're changing lives with it. So
thank you.
I did.
Most of those are my family, just so you know.
Yeah.
I have like 770 members of my family. So I did what I could. And here's the other thing. My Aunt Linda, are you watching today? What is up with the 4-star? Seriously. I'm just kidding. She gave me a 5-star, but it's so funny. But all right. So what's your favorite book of all time?
So I have many, because I learned from everyone, right?
Yeah.
But if I could say the one that has made the biggest impact on my business is called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And that's Immutable, IMMUTABLE, Immutable Laws of Marketing by Al Ries and Jack Trout, like the fish, Trout.
Yep.
Because I read that book back when I was struggling. A mentor of mine, who's a relative of mine, who's actually worth hundreds of millions of dollars, told me to read that book. And it's a short book. It's about that big. But it taught me things like I never thought of, like the law of the category, right? That you got to create your own category where no one can compete with you. That's how I created me as the big money speaker guy. I created my own category. When you're in your own category, you can charge whatever fees you want. I created the law of being first, right? In the book, it says it's better to be first than it is to be better. If you think of like overnight delivery, you think of Federal Express, right? But there's UPS, there's the United States Postal Service, there's DHL, there's Airborne,
right? But
they were first, so they're thought of being the best. So I followed that book, and it changed my whole business. So I would say the most impactful one has been that one.
Yeah, the one you kind of mentally refer to the most often. And that is a great book. Al Ries and Jack Trout do a great job. And I love the 22 laws of immutable laws of marketing. And so now, who is your biggest role model?
Man, I have so many of them. Like, it's a tough question, Michael. Somebody asked me a question one time: would you rather have dinner with Michael Jordan or James Bond? And I'm like, oh, the pressure, like to choose. I would have to say it's always been my mom and dad deep down. My dad taught me, son, you can do anything you want in life. My dad was a steel worker, never went to no college education, steel worker. So one of the wisest men I've ever known. Son, you can do anything you want in your life if you just believe in yourself and you don't listen to people who tell you can't do it. That's coming from a steel worker, right?
Yeah, wow.
And my mom always taught me, he said, enjoy success, but always keep your family and your friends a top priority. Be there for them. Tell them that they're important to you and love them. So, and then of course, also my sister's been a great inspiration who passed away, but I have so many role models. You're a role model for me, so many people that I read books of, but if I had to really boil it down, that like what's at the bottom of the foundation, it would be mom and dad.
Yeah. That's awesome, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, man, this has been James Malinchak on the Daily Dose today. This has truly been a daily dose of positivity and productivity. James Malinchak, from the entire Generosity Generation, thank you, my brother.
Oh, anything for you. I was so excited when you contacted me, and man, I'm just so honored to know you. My life has been better from knowing Sherry and you, and thank you very much for introducing me to your great people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity, brought to you by referralspodcast.com and the Generosity Generation. Remember, tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow we have Don McNaughton, certified referral trainer, one of the top presidents of an association in the entire country. He is going to be on talking about leading in the crisis situation. I will tell you, this transition that he's talking about and the transformation that he's talking about, I cannot wait to have him on tomorrow. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in tomorrow. But before you do that, you've got to share this interview. Like this interview is going to change somebody's life. Make sure that you share it. If you're doing the watch parties, thank you so much. Make sure everybody comments to let people know you're in. But the bottom line is we love you. We appreciate you. If you're interested in building a business based on love, generosity, and appreciation, if you're interested in building a life based on love, generosity, and appreciation, you're in the right place. You're in the generosity generation. Welcome to the generosity generation. And once again, a huge thank you to our guest today, Mr. James Malinchak, Secret Millionaire, big money speaker, the man. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, brother.